Hello, I'm John Joe. Welcome to Line War. Today we have SodaQuackers, who is another YouTuber who does casting on Line War. That's great, and I do like watching his stuff every now and then. It's quite cool, and he is against Bob, because I can't read this, so I'm assuming it's the same person all the time, which is probably not a good idea, but I can't read it, so I'm sorry. So we're going with Bob every time we see those letters. If anyone can read it and let me know what that says, that would be great, so I know what to call this person. I don't know who it is. So far, he's going for an eco start in this game, going for some airfields, and he's got his industry up and running, and he's turning a town potentially into a city, unless that town is still being built. I'm not sure, he might have spent his instant cash on it. I think he's going straight into a city here. Whereas SodaQuackers is going 2 airfields, some energy, and some barracks, which is a fair point. He's got energy up and running already for his aircraft. I don't normally suggest energy this early, but when you've got 2 airfields, it might be quite wise. Whereas Bob here doesn't have any energy. He does have energy that he can get here and here, but with SodaQuackers being up this area, it's going to be contested, so I think that that's going to be a bad choice in the long run. He's going to need to try and go out of the water. He's got some energy there, actually. I didn't spot that. Right next to the city. Maybe there's some energy in the water. There is a bit, but I think that's easy to snipe as well. We'll have to see how this game plans out. At the minute, I think SodaQuackers is going to have a better time. He's gone for some barracks, which is going to allow him to do commando stuff, which he's doing now. He's got 2 commandos being built. He's got infantry on the field to capture ground faster. And the territory grabbing is generally more effective, especially on a map like this. This is mostly land. There's only a tiny bit of water in the south. But generally, it's a lot of land. And Soda is getting those commandos to go all the way to the other edge of the map, just to make sure he's not there and just have units somewhere else on the map. Potentially grabbing some extra territories for him somewhere else. Or just to target the enemy. And hey, if you like this video, feel free to like it, and there's a subscribe button down below. And there's also, if you go a little bit further down in the description box, there'll be a link to SodaQuackers' channel, his own channel, where he does his own casting. So feel free to subscribe there as well. But at the minute, I think this is going to be quite a long start to the game. I could speed it up a little bit. I might just do that until we find an engagement. We do have units trying to spread out a bit too much. Well, not too much. It's hard to get it to go balanced because you've got quite a lot of land to go for, and most players are going to end up starfishing outward. And it's hard to try and grab as much land as possible, because if you try and get it in like a circle and spread out slowly, whereas trying to starfish out, you can starfish out faster than your enemy and get round them a bit better maybe. So it's hard to decide what to do, because if you do this, you may end up missing territories like this one and forgetting about it later on. And these are like 12 a minute, so it is worth it in the long run. That's the same as one industry. And we're going to have a look at him. He did go for a city. He does have a docks he could build as well, so that is extra eco, but he's deciding mostly to go for structures, which is not what I would do. But he is getting his barracks on the field right now. Let's have a look at the eco. I think it is faster to get the eco up and running now. There's 540 compared to SodaQuackers 390. But once they're built, it's not going to snowball. You can't get the snowball effect of building the infantry and getting the territories faster and faster over time. So we will speed this up until we find some sort of engagement or something different happening. We're on ×2 right now. We can see they are right next to each other now. SodaQuackers has spotted Bob, but Bob has not spotted Soda yet. They're just gonna, they've spotted him now, and he's sending his air units straight away. Soda isn't sending his air units just yet, which is probably a good idea, because he's got his units building up right now, and the enemy doesn't know about it, which means he's not going to build any anti-air. Whereas Bob sending in his aircraft, this one striker, which I'll slow down now, he's going to have these strikers coming in, and they're going to do some damage to these infantry, yeah, sure. But now that Soda knows about it, I can assume his next would be a interceptor, or it will be a factory with SAM units. But Soda has sent in his aircraft as well, and because he's got more of them, their anti-air capabilities will potentially take out these strikers. Not that they have much anti-air, but they can chase them in a group like this. This one's on fire, but I think they're going to end up retreating. So those strikers will survive. Managing to get a few kills on the infantry, and I think Soda's going to hold this front line for a little longer, especially with the air superiority there. But as we can see, a barracks is popping up now. I'm going to assume there's Sam coming out of that. Whereas we don't have that from this, from Soda. I think this is an interceptor though. If my eyes don't fail me, yeah, that's an interceptor. So, and a factory going down. The Soda is going anti-air in the air units and in the ground units right now. And those commandos are managing to sneak around. But I think the starfish tactic is working better because look at this vision you get. So, I know he's got more infantry on the ground in general, but the fact that he's spread out, he's got units all the way over here from his main base, whereas Bob hasn't. He's not spreading out like a starfish as much. He is trying to claim as much territory near his base as possible. But trying to spread out as fast as you can. Soda's base up here has managed to get further in, closer to the enemy's base already. And these strikers are coming in to try and weaken the force that's over here before they get to his base too close. But now I assume one of these interceptors are ready. Yep, we have one interceptor going into fight against these strikers, and I don't think these strikers here are going to survive very long for them. We do have some commandos in this group over here as well, so yeah, we've got some sending off that way, and these commandos are sneaking off all the way over this direction. We've already got some territory grabbing over there. Come back to that after these strikers and interceptors see what they do. It might be a bit hard for Bob to notice that there's actually an interceptor in this as well. Because the strikers are targeting the ground missiles, and the interceptor's sort of merging in with them, maybe? It's over here right now, but it might have been a bit harder for him to spot, so he might still make the mistake of sending in his strikers over in that direction. But we also have an interceptor from Bob. Got one being built as well. And there's already one made. So they're both doing very similar reactions and responses to these units. They started very similarly. We have 2 airfields from Bob now as well. This is basically just eco versus territory again. And both can play out well if you play it right. Bob's trying to get some units across to the bottom of the map to try and come around the other side. He's doing the starfish tactic now, I guess. Over here we had some engagement. Wow, the commandos are near this area, if we remember. So if we look at Soda, and it looks like he lost his commandos over in this direction. Oh no, he didn't. They're here. I can see them right here. So, although they are stealthed and you can't see them, now that Soda has stopped their movements, they are capturing these territories, you can see their effect. So Bob would probably be able to realise that's there, and Soda can see there's an energy well right here, and the city. These commandos might be able to sneak in and get that. Have to see what they do. It might be just that Soda's not spotted what was there until his units get there, and you can see them now. And he just hasn't changed his plan. But that's what I'd be targeting right now, would be this area. Which is what he's actually going to do. Doing really well there. He's got his strikers on the field there. I think that's about their range. So he's just trying to protect anything within his range of influence from his airfields. We've got quite a few interceptors on the field right now. And the strikers themselves are going to take out that interceptor, or at least finish it off. We do have some ground being taken there. Is that a commander then? No, they're just stealthed in the mountains. So the mountains are providing stealth for them. I didn't even spot the mountain. And we have Sam in this forest over here. But these infantry will be able to take that Sam out if it's not protected as well. So that's going to be a problem soon for Bob if he can't stop these infantry coming forward. Bob is trying to find a way out. He's coming into this area. He knows there's commandos over there. It looks like he got one. From Soda's perspective, he can't see any there anymore. So I assume he lost his commandos in this area. The threat was noticed, and Bob took him out. Let's have a look at the eco now that it's played on a bit longer, and they've been fighting a bit for the territories in the middle. We've got 750 from Bob, and Soda has 780. So even though he hasn't gone for a lot of eco, Soda has managed to keep up with the territory gains, which is generally quite common in these types of games. Eco is more important on island maps, where there isn't as much territory to grab. And Soda's air force is just building in numbers quite a lot, to be fair. He's got airstrip there, so they can land there, but it won't produce their air units. So he can free up the production for these two airfields again, whereas Bob has these airfields, and they are still producing stuff, but that's mostly because his units are getting destroyed out there, I think. We do have a SAM unit in the mountain here, so that will help protect anything from the air over there. And the strikers have changed their direction. They're targeting this area to try and stop that the pressure up in that direction. Got some infantry trying to come in from Soda. He's just trying to scout the area, I think, trying to spot what's in there, see if he can get anything going. But the mountains are keeping Bob's forces stealthed up there until the time comes to attack. Soda doesn't notice that. All of his units are going to end up meeting that same fate. But he isn't just focused on attacking the enemy. He's just poking holes in there, I guess. Trying to find his way through, trying to see what the enemy has. He's still focused on expanding up in the north. He knows this could be a long game, and he's invested in trying to keep the future of the game going for himself, rather than trying to take the win early. Bob, on the other hand, is up in this side of the map. He's going up north, and he's trying to take the territory on this side, which is pretty much relatively under his control, but Soda is going towards that direction as well, so it won't be long until Soda is able to take out most of Bob's army if Bob doesn't retreat these units. Being in this location as well, these air units might stray off towards this SAM unit, providing extra damage towards them. Not that it really needs it, but it looks like Soda's units are going straight over these SAM units that were hidden in the forest, and that is going to do a lot of damage to these strikers and the anti-air there. They're holding their ground for now. There isn't enough strikers there, but they are going to get heavily damaged from that attack. We do have some artillery and infantry trying to move up through these mountains. Bob's trying to push forward with the SAM units out into the open. I wouldn't do that. I'd keep them in the forest. Keep their stealth up, because these artillery might move in on them. I know he had some units down here as well, so he's capturing territory through here, which I think Soda missed. He tried to stop them, and I think he thought he was successful. We'll have to see what he's doing over there. No, he is sending some units down there, maybe just to grab territories, but either way, he is going to be able to stop anything down there at this point in the game. The Soda's trying to grab the territory around this area and this area to stop Bob getting as much territory. If he can grab the territory around Bob, he can keep the territory behind it and capture it later. He's trying to push his artillery towards these SAM units. If he can take out the SAM units, it gives his air units free roam over this map. But the SAM are pulling back into the forest. Soda does have quite a few barracks on the expanse over in this area. He's sending them up that way and this way. And we do have another energy well. Both players are able to control their energy pretty well in this game. We haven't had any energy warnings from either player. I think Soda's got a harder time trying to manage it with more air units in general. However, losing some earlier meant that he might find it a bit easier to try and control now. We've got some interceptors moving out on a different path over here. I think they're just trying to spot what's in the area. Interceptors are brilliant at trying to spot any stealth units like commandos. And it looks like the strikers are just going to target them after the interceptors spot them. Which is doing really well for him. Down there, so I think both players are doing great in this battle. Both trying to spot anything else. They're not letting any weakness show. But the SAM units in the forest are forced to retreat as the artillery are moving in. The commandos are trying to go in there and do as much damage as they can, but it looks like we've got some commandos to back up the artillery. Not that they really need it. I think 3 artillery against 2 commandos is always going to come out on top, but he did manage to get one of them. Just trying to keep an eye on the rest of the map, see where Soda is up in the north. The SAM units have fortifications, which, although they're not going to get hit on the ground, it does give them extra defense, so even being struck from the air, this is probably not a bad idea to do with these SAM units. Especially in the mountains, because that also increases your defense. Right, so Bob is bringing a few units across here. He can see these SAM units, but he is going to get hit by them. And I think that interceptor is going to survive. He is going to keep them in this area, though. But these SAM units are getting free hits on all these air units. And they wouldn't normally stand a chance against that many strikers. But a lot of them are interceptors, so they're going to keep on straying in one at a time, and I'm not sure if they're going to actually get many kills. Maybe just a couple more SAM units there and it would have been great. That would have taken out quite a lot of those air units. These commandos are pushing forward, and Soda is retreating in that location. Going to pull his units back. And he has a lot of production just on the edge of this forest. So he is going to be able to try and push back against these commandos eventually. We do still have some area contested down here. With Bob trying to sneak around the coast, he's trying to stick right next to the edges. He knows he can't win the fight in this area. So he's just trying to take what he can with what he has. Over here we do have a bit of an artillery swarm coming up. And they are backed up by a lot of SAM. He's keeping his SAM on the left-hand side of this army. So that if the air units do come over, they're going to get some good shots off on him. But I think Soda is going to send his air force in still anyway. And he's going straight for those SAM. He's going to try and target the SAM first. That's his hope there. And I think that's going to work. But he put him on this side of his army to stop the ground forces from getting there so easily, I think. But the air force just absolutely destroyed them down there. There's only one heavily damaged SAM left over, and I think even this Interceptor might get it. It did. Now, Bob's Interceptors are coming in, but the SAM units are going to be able to protect them now because there's nothing to stop them on the ground apart from the artillery. Unfortunately, I think Soda won the air force and Bob won the ground force. Luckily, Soda was able to take out the anti-air in the area, so he now has the ability to take out this ground force over time, and allowing his units to build up in numbers. We do have some engagements going on up in the north. We have a lot of territory trying to be grabbed, and they're both pacing at about the same rate in this area. So they're just trying to make sure that they control the rest of the territory. Whoever wins up here might end up winning the match because of the eco gain they'll get. This is just the frontline battle, which pretty much every match has. It rages on for the entirety of the match, and it's whoever controls the eco can build up their forces enough to push back into the enemy's base. Assuming no sneaky tactics get used, that is. But we do have some units sneaking up there. Let's have a look at Bob. What's he got going in this direction? He's got quite a few commandos. They're targeting the production structures. We do have some tanks being built as well in this area. But I think because Bob spotted that, he might be able to stop it in the future, and he might end up slowing it down with these sneaky tactics he's got going up in there. Bob himself also has some tanks he's going to try and send up forward, but these strikers I think are going to be able to take them out quite easily, so I don't know if that was a good choice. You might want to send them out to capture territories at this point. Looks like Bob is streaming quite a lot of units up in this side of the map, and instead of taking the territories, he has enough units over here. He's going to try and send them up towards Soda's base. So, up in the north here, it looks like Soda might end up being pushed back, and he's going to lose a lot of territory because of this, because these production structures over here is what's fueling the expansion in this direction. And if he loses the fights up here, he's going to be pushed in another direction, having to split up his forces, and he may end up losing the frontline fight here. And Bob's hiding a lot of his units in the army, making Soda a bit nervous to attack in this area, because Soda can't see that. They can see some of it, but not enough. Let's have a quick look at the eco, because this is going to be before the end of the match, I think. We're coming up to it somewhat, and we got 1,300. It's still undecided who's going to win though. And 1,200, so economically speaking, they're about the same. Soda has a bit of the advantage, and he's trying to sneak some tanks into the side. Hopefully he goes around the mountains. I watched a video recently where mountains actually defeated the tanks pretty much because they slowed them down far too much. One of Bob's structures got destroyed over in there. I didn't actually see what was going on there. We've got some commandos sneaking in, so now it's time for Soda to have some sneaky tactics coming in. They're not even going for the production. They're going for these eco structures over here. Taking those out this time, at this point in the game, would be a really good move on Soda's part. Especially as Bob might have thought he was going for these structures here. He's going right in for potentially the winning kill. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see if they're successful or not. Let's have a look up here quickly. We do have the strikers coming in over here to try and defend these structures. So hopefully Soda can defend up there and see if Bob can defend down here. These tanks are getting stuck by the commandos in the area, but they are going to shoot as they go by. And what is Soda doing? He's got a strike command on the city. He's going for the eco advantage that Bob has against him right now. 3 tanks is probably going to be able to destroy this. It's got the commandos coming in to back it up. And even if they don't end up backing it up, they are stopping infantry from getting to this location faster. And after that, they can go for the energy as well if they manage to do so. What has Bob got in this area that he's shooting with? Commando. Up on this side, Bob doesn't have anything in Soda's base and doesn't have a lot of vision right now either. He's even trying to bring in the interceptors. He's got helicopters on the field to try and take out these tanks before the city goes down. But there are more to come in, and this one is heavily damaged, but this one's quite high health, so I think they're going to get the city in the end. We've got another tank rolling in, but even if he doesn't get the damage in, it's leaving this tank there longer to try and take the damage in. This is a really close one right now, but the tank does go down. There's only 3 commandos in the area, and there's a lot to defend the city right now. It was so close to being destroyed. And Soda is putting a lot of his effort into that area, but he's lost his units right next to that, right at the last second. He is building up another force over here, and he can build up some more tanks to try and do that again. He is still trying to send a tank and 4 commandos in this area. It might be wise to just pull these guys back and try and send in a bigger force to go through this there. Maybe even to try and target the production at this point, because he's going to be defending this quite heavily, I would have thought. He's pushing out units away either side, just in case any more come through in that direction. He can stop them earlier on. But he's got his artillery in this area, so even though he was attacking the city down here, his artillery has moved in through the forest. He's got his strikers going for the airfields. He must put an airfield or airstrip closer by, I think. Yes, in this mountain here, so he's really close. And that is a pretty risky place to put it, because if you lose it, your strikers are on there. That's a lot of money to go down, so he's taking a big risk to get his strikers close to the enemy. So even though he didn't get the city in the end, that was a big distraction for other plans that he had. Soda's lost his artillery in this area now to the air units, but the strikers are coming in to try and take out these airfields. But I don't know if there's actually enough of them right now. We've got quite a few coming in from down this area. And the interceptors are going to be alright to take out the helicopters and other interceptors there, but there's a lot of ground forces here from Bob, and I think Bob's going to be able to push back quite hard now. We have 1 single artillery over here taking over some land. I think that might actually be... Is he on his own? He is on his own. Just 1 random artillery right at the front there. I still can't believe how damaged that city is and still survived. It is currently repairing itself, so I don't think Soda's going to be able to try that again and take it out easily with it being damaged, because by the time he gets there, it's going to be fully healed. But we're moving in another force of artillery to this location. But I think Bob's forces are spread out a bit more. He doesn't have as many artillery, but he also has a lot of helicopters in the area. But we do have Soda moving some SAM into this area. He's got 4 that I can see. We're on Bob's viewpoint, so it might be some stealth. Over on this side of it though, Bob has been expanding. He's got a lot of units to come around, and he's got some eco being set up for himself. But I think Bob's eco is spiraling a bit out of control for Soda right now. 1,300, I would say that, but then Soda's actually not far behind. He's way ahead, actually. I was completely wrong. Because Soda has also been working on his eco. Now that he's captured as much territory as he possibly could, he's now trying to work on his own eco by building industry and towns. And generally speaking, that's the best way to do that, because the territory are worth so much more, but they are limited. So once you get them, you want to start trying to get your industry up and running in your towns. We have a fairly large group of tanks here. There's another one to join here if he decides to delete this line. Command, sorry. We have a nice circle of artillery. He's pushing them forward. He's trying to curve it around, but these guys are going to get them at a point instead. You've got to remember there is also air support from this airfield here. From Bob's perspective, he's under heavy assault in this location. I think he can probably win this if he was able to defend against these attacks individually. But I think those tanks are going to sneak around the bottom and get through there. But he does have a lot of units up here which are able to potentially sweep Soda if he was to stay in this game for long enough. The tanks are sneaking around now. Bob is reacting. He's setting up a line to go this way, and he's got some commands coming in. He's got helis coming into this area as well. And I think Soda is going to target that industry as he goes by it. Not intentionally, he's just going by it. I think he's drawn that line on purpose to go around it, so that he at least takes something out as he moves. I don't know if they're actually going to manage to take it out, but we also have these artillery over here, which have been... The infantry and all the units here have been moved to defend the city, which is probably going to go at this point anyway. There we go, the city does go down, the artillery has been put into position, and the strikers are coming over the top as well. So, after the city goes down, I think Bob wasn't able to keep up with it, and I think Soda noticed the threat in the north as well, and he's built up a large enough army to try and deal with that, just in case Bob didn't quit. But fortunately for Soda, Bob did quit. So, I think Soda is the victor in this game. Possibly to do with the way he started and the way he dealt with what was going on with Bob in the forest over here. He was able to try and do multiple attacks at the same time, sneak some units around the back, and whichever one he defended against, the other one would be more successful. So, thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought of the match. Feel free to subscribe, and remember, Soda's link is in the description as well. So, I'll see you around, guys. Thanks for watching.